Hello, everybody. This is William del Pilar, and this is Points on the Board, where sports and politics collide. However, today we are going to talk about the politics of basketball and if the politics of refereeing will be the difference maker in the Super Bowl. They're going to touch on some hot reads with the WWE and Netflix. Is Ronaldo the greatest? And a couple of trades, and there's one more taken there, I believe. But before we go on, please make sure you subscribe to this podcast along with following us on our YouTube, Rumble, Apple, Spotify, and Pandora channel under the heading, or rather the profile, Grumblings Media. You can also find this podcast and others like it at grumblingsmedia.com. So let's get down to it. I'm going to take a deep dive into the Luka Doncic trade, into the strategy, health, and the outcomes that we should expect. So first of all, and this is actually truly a deep dive. Uh, so let's get to it, I guess. The Luka Doncic trade was from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers, and I truly believe the NBA knew about this trade, gave it its blessing, because there's two markets the NBA wants to be prolific in, and that is LA and New York. And I got to be honest. I have to be honest. For the last 30 to 40 years, the New York market has failed to rise up, but the LA Lakers, whoo, since the magic show of the 80s, they've been there, give or take a few years. This could put them back into the stratosphere of championships. So, obviously, this trade sent shockwaves. Look, I follow sports, to be quite honest. Basketball isn't my forte, but I follow the business of sports. So, I am well aware of basketball, the numbers, players, games, etc. The business side I do know very well. And when I saw this trade, I was like, holy mackerel, what the hell? I went straight to our basketball guys, the buzzer beaters, check them out if you get a chance, and said, what the hell? The first thing from one of the guys was, this is a dumb trade. And it sent shockwaves, not just because of the audacity of the trade, but the strategic, financial, and cultural implications. And by cultural, I mean team chemistry implications it carries. So let's delve into why the trade was made. We're going to focus on themes of cultural fit. That was a big topic. Conditioning concerns, another big topic. Translation, Fat Boy Luka, and the financial ramifications of Supermax contracts that I believe facilitated the trade, alongside the broader reaction from fans, analysts, and the NBA community. So, again, Doncic was traded from the Dallas Mavericks to the Los Angeles Lakers in exchange for Anthony Davis, a versatile big man. He's known for his defensive prowess and scoring ability. It's tough to find somebody who's actually outstanding on both sides of the aisle in terms of defense and offense. However, he has his own injury concerns. Max Christie, a young, promising guard, he was selected in the 2022 NBA draft with the 35th overall pick. Excuse me, I got like a hair right below my eye. He's seen as a developmental prospect. I have to pause this. I apologize. Sorry about that. I had a hair. It's like in my eye. Woo. Anyway, Max Christie seen as a development prospect with a potential as a 3 and D wing. And what is a 3 and D wing for those of you, my friends, that aren't quite aware? A 3 and D wing is a term commonly used in basketball. This is for my new listeners who aren't quite aware of some of these terms. A player who excels in two areas: a 3-point shooting guard and defense. Obviously, that's crucial in modern day basketball. You can score from the perimeter and actually guard somebody. So that's not bad, to be quite honest. But will it be enough? We will find out. They also got a 2029 first round pick. It's unprotected. That means the Mavericks will receive the Lakers' first round pick in 2029. We are in 2025. Luka is 25. The odds of this being a high first round today seem to be silly. It's more likely going to be a low round. So it's speculative to even consider, as it's that far in the future. Some say, well, so valuable, it's first rounder. Not really. It depends where it's at. Additional players moving to LA is Max Kleber, Markieff Morris. So this trade not only involved moving one of the NBA's generational talent, to be quite honest here, but there's also assets involved. So let's talk about the reasons behind the trade. Let's give an overview here. It's cultural fit. In the context of the NBA, the cultural fit refers to how well the player's personal attributes, playing style, work ethic, and leadership qualities match the ethos, strategies, and goals of the team. We're going to get into the general manager. He's a West Point guy, extremely successful in everything he's done. He looked at Luka and more than likely thought, fat boy who didn't want to maximize his talent, why am I going to pay him over $300 million? So for the Mavericks, that meant looking for players who could contribute to a team identity centered around hard work, defense, and Luka, the rumor is, can't guard, and collective success. In essence, that does not fit Luka. Luka does not fit there. Anthony Davis is seen as an ideal fit because of his defensive capabilities being among the best in the league. So his presence is expected to instill a tougher, more disciplined defensive approach. And that was completely lacking in Doncic's game. And the alignment is crucial for the Mavericks' vision of building a championship team. Look, they are in the championship window. The odds of them winning it this year aren't as bad as most people want to assume, even with Luka gone. However, can they? If they don't win it all, boy, heads will roll because the fans will demand it. Because the fans mean season ticket sales. And Luka brought season ticket sales. Anthony Davis has a reputation for being a vocal leader and setting a high standard for work ethic and professionalism. He's obviously got a history of leading teams by this type of example. And, you know, if you think about it, the team might have been, the trade might have been part of a broader cultural shift within the organization. It's new ownership, and they're aiming to redefine the team's identity from being reliant on one-star Luka to where every player, regardless of their scoring ability, contributes significantly to defense and team play. Excuse me. I got to be honest. Generational talent, and you give me that line, it's a big risk. So the other issue involved with this trade was conditioning and commitment concerns. Reports suggest Doncic's conditioning was a growing concern. I mean, let me show you a picture here of old Luka. Because the truth of the matter is, he's a big boy. I mean, he's tall, but you can see his thickness. You can see the roundness. He's not what you would call a lean, mean machine. But basketball is not necessarily about how big you are or how fat you are. It's your talent. It's like baseball talent. It's like golf talent. There's a lot of talent in basketball. And there's talent in every sport. But, you know, when you got that magic touch and can shoot, and you're averaging 27 or 25, 27 points a game during a down year, you the man. So his weight near 270 pounds was supposedly potentially limiting his effectiveness, especially when it came towards the end of the season and the demands of playoff basketball. See, like the NFL, basketball, because of so many games, is a game of attrition. Who is the healthiest? And the season wears on you. And the Mavericks may not have wanted to rely on a player whose condition won't meet the rigorous standards of playoff basketball, championship contention. There were whispers about his dedication to improving his physical condition. Look, it's obvious he didn't care. He was relying on talent. He had the talent to rely on and still dominate. Could you imagine this guy if he had Michael Jordan's mindset? Go into the gym, Kobe Bryant's mindset. See, Kobe Bryant, what made Kobe Bryant great was not necessarily his talent. He was talented, but he wasn't talented on the level of Dr. J, Michael Jordan. But he put himself on the lower tier of them, not by much. This is my personal opinion. Kobe Bryant was more of a product of a great team, great players around him to maximize the talent he had. But until certain players came around and he had better players around him, he wasn't like Michael Jordan. But he was like Dr. J, I'll give you that. But I'm digressing here. But my point is I will never take this away from Kobe. The man went into the gym and onto the court to maximize his game. And that's what made him one of the elite. So Doncic is not that. He's 25, but he's not that and can hopefully get to that. And so that brings us to the financial and contractual strategy, the Supermax contract implications. The impeding Supermax contract for Dončić pose significant financial risk, my friend. He has some injury history and obviously the fat boy conditioning issues. And committing to such a large contract would have restricted the Mavericks' ability to manage the salary cap effectively, which I got to be honest, the NBA salary cap's a joke. I say that and I'm shaking my head, rolling my eyes, really. However, it would have affected it somewhat. So this may have been a preemptive move, but was it really, or was it a dumb move? Let's look at the fact it may have been preemptive. The Mavericks could sidestep potential cap issues to maintain their financial flexibility and avoid the scenario where they're locked into a high cost contract for a player whose condition was in question. This is James Harden, in a way. The guy relied too much on talent and not on hard work and hard work ethic. General Manager Nico Harrison's perspective. Look, Harrison, West Point guy, came from Nike where the brand culture is paramount. He wants to put his cultural identity, his footprint onto what this team is. And he was supposedly reportedly frustrated with Doncic conditioning. Nico had nowhere near the talent to even play in the league. He never was able to play. He just didn't have the talent. But he was a hard worker. And he probably saw in Luka, man, if I had that talent and my work ethic, I'd be Michael Jordan exponentially better, possibly. Who knows? But that's a mindset I can relate to. So the long-term vision versus the immediate impact? Well, this is obviously a strategic pivot for the Dallas Mavericks. It's they're not looking at building a team with one star, but a balanced approach where defense and the team play are critical as much as offense. So he may, and the new ownership may look at that as more sustainable for long-term success. I can see that. But Luka is a generational talent, and my issue isn't necessarily trading Luka. It's what you got for Luka. But let's get back to the Supermax contract. He was eligible for a 5-year, $345 million Supermax contract. Would have made him one of the highest paid players in the NBA history, reflecting his status as one of the league's premier talents. Man, I thought I got that hair out of my way. Obviously, that's, as I have stated, it would have impacted the salary cap. They wanted to avoid the large financial commitment, allows greater salary cap space and flexibility, and it mitigates the risk. So there is an impact on Dončić too. Moving to Los Angeles is not a good thing for him financially. He no longer is eligible for a full Supermax with the Lakers, potentially missing out. See, so what does that tell me? If I'm out of there. Unless I can make it up in massive sponsorships in LA, which is a possibility with that market, and the team would help him do that, and they give me the biggest contract they can legally give me. I don't consider them. I become a free agent. I become LeBron too. Who is going to be the highest bidder for me? The Miami Heat come to mind. California also has one of the highest state income taxes. That's what else blows my mind. Going from a no-income state to an income state. That's one of the highest. So that's gonna massively increase that tax burden. It's gonna add tens of millions of tax liability over his career. Obviously he's got to get rid of that $15 million home. Dallas doesn't want him. He's not from there. He's from Slovenia, so he has no love there at the end of the day. And the weather here is better, so people tend to quickly forget their home state once they get out here, regardless of how bad it is in this state I live in. There's also some other matters I have in my notes in terms of long-term financial strategy, but I don't want to get into the weeds. But it does affect him financially as well. Now, I want to talk about Charles Barkley. Chucky baby, who I predict will be flat broke in about 20 years once he's out of TV. The man loves gambling. He's an addictive gambler. He has got money rolling in where he can cover those costs, but one day that money will not roll in, and I don't know if he can stop the gambling. But Chuck is great for the camera. Those of you, I saw Chuck play from his beginning of his career to the end. Yes, I am that old, but I know I look this good. Unexplainable, and no surgery. I did split my head open, so You have scars, just not the good surgery to go with it. Anyway, let's get back to Chuck. Barkley stated that while one might succeed at the lower levels of basketball while being fat, you can quote, you cannot be fat in the pros, unquote. And he's right. Luka's 25, relying on his talent. He's wasting his years away. Because if he had Michael Jordan or Kobe's mindset, Dallas may have won that championship last year. So he highlighted Doncic's weight, which is, again, about 270 pounds reportedly. Barkley paralleled with his own career when Moses Malone famously confronted him about his weight and said, "You're fat and lazy." And that kind of turned Chuck around. So the Mavericks' decision to trade Doncic was influenced by him being fat. Excuse me. I apologize. There were reports of frustration, not just from Nico. I imagine some of the players may have loved him and said, "Boy, lose some weight." Yo, let's head on over to Taco Bell Burger King. Alberto's 2 a.m. in the morning. I can see Luca. So him being fat is probably what cost him a Supermax contract. So let's talk about his injury history. He's been marked by several injuries with a notable mention of his current injury, ankle injuries, multiple sprains, left ankle have been recurrent, calf strain this year, has missed 19 games. See, these are what you call nagging injuries that can be attributed because you're a fat boy. Knee issues, fat boy. Knee soreness, fat boy. Contusions, fat boy. Lower back tightness, fat boy. Elbow and thumb, well, I can't contribute those. Broken nose, can't contribute those. His injuries, particularly around critical times, like the end of the regular season, have kind of kicked him out of the MVP and All NBA honors. Playoff impact, his injuries can be a factor. You're not 100%. You're not going to be able to give 150%. I got to be honest. I never really heard of Michael Jordan being injured. And once they overplayed and he's got the flu, Bra had the flu, he wouldn't be out there. No player would. He's overcome the flu. And then you're going to have to odd the team sick. Those are some of the biggest lies media promotes the hype of player. Blows my mind. Back to Luka. So yeah, there is a narrative going around among not just fans but analysts that some of Doncic's injuries might be linked to being fat boy. So maybe the move to the Lakers. Maybe this is a new chapter for Doncic's health management, where the team's medical staff, conditioning programs, and perhaps a different motivational environment. I mean, look at LeBron. The guy's sculpted. Yeah, it's going to influence him to stop being a fat boy. So what's a fan, analyst, and NBA reaction overall? Well, analysts and former players, as well as the average Joe, have critiqued various aspects of the trade, from the process and secrecy to the perceived value of the return. And that's the big issue here. The return relative to Doncic's worth, to the strategic implications for the Mavericks' future. They hamstrung themselves considering what they could have got. And the reason I say the NBA was in on this is because they wanted him to go. I guarantee you other teams would have offered them much, much more. That's why there's no doubt in my mind Adam Silver, my opinion, was in on this trade. Public reaction, Maverick fans expressed significant disappointment, with some staging symbolic death mock funerals. Analysts have scrutinized the process as well. Charles Barkley, obviously, explicitly saying the Mavericks, quote, fucked up, unquote. Bill Simmons, well-known basketball, I don't want to say analyst, but podcaster. I mean, he's like an average Joe who's achieved greatness by being an entrepreneur, kind of like what I did in fantasy sports. You just become so good at analyzing the game. You're not an official analyst per se, but when people want to know what's in the loop, they go to you, and that's Bill Simmons. He described this trade as, quote, the most shocking trade, I think, in the history of the NBA, unquote. Like me, he's critical of the return, suggesting the Mavericks did not get enough, and I agree. Kevin Durant, he's a basketball player, one of the best in his generation, calling the trade, quote, crazy, unquote. Dirk Nowitzki, Maverick legend. It was much more symbolic. Using an emoji to express his shock. Oh! Chandler Parsons, a former NBA player, and he's a current analyst. He labeled the trade, quote, extreme BS, unquote, for keeping Dončić in the dark. You know, that is a term of disrespect. See, this is why it's going to, I believe in karma. And nothing but bad karma here from Nico. Because I don't care what Jason Kidd says. He was in the dark too. You could just see it written all over him. Jason, what do you think of the trade? I was down for it. What the? Tim McMahon. He talked more about the frustrations with Doncic conditioning and his upcoming Supermax contract. You know, but he did see the trade as a misstep, especially if conditioning was a primary concern. You know, you tie that into the Supermax. Yeah, if you're not at 250, you lose $100 million. I mean, you do stuff like that. I'm being extreme and sarcastic a little bit, but that's how you tie it in. It's the league is dominated by players right now. There's a reason the Arizona Cardinals and the NFL suck. They've got a terrible quarterback. Kyler Murray's not terrible. Yeah, he is because he doesn't want to hit the books. He doesn't want to study. He doesn't want to make himself the best of the game, but he wants to be paid at the highest levels. And when he got his contract, he was a top 5 NFL QB. So yeah, and teams want or should be taking greater control of their players in that sense. And I think this may have been a move in that direction. And other teams may look at how this plays out. But this was clearly a move by the Mavericks saying, we are the Mavericks. You are not the Mavericks, Luka. Kevin Pelton of ESPN graded the trade with an F for the Mavericks, focusing on the secondary of Anthony Davis's fit. He argued the Mavericks gave up too much for an old, beat-down player, and I agree. Nick Wright's an idiot. But he's popular out there. You know, he discussed how the Mavericks needed the best version of Dončić, which they didn't get. Dinolytics, a so-called ex-Twitter analyst, he questioned Davis's fit, saying the Mavericks could have done better. And I agree. At the end of the day, look, whatever you want to say about Anthony Davis, you don't fault him and his play and his ability. He's just not. You don't replace a 25-year-old with what? 31, 32-year-old old man who has his own series of injuries. I put this one down by Sarah Todd of the Deseret News, only because she called the trade, quote, malpractice, unquote. Why do people say this? Let's look at some comparative blockbuster trades. Michael Bridges trade from the Brooklyn Nets to the Knicks. They received 4 unprotected first-round picks, as well as players. Kevin Durant, Brooklyn to the Phoenix. 4 unprotected first-round picks in a 2028 pick swap, as well as players. James Harden. Several first-round draft picks from the Nets, including 2022, 24, 26, so 3. Some of them have conditions, obviously. So, how did this fall short for the Mavericks based on looking at those trades? Well, by only negotiating with Los Angeles Lakers, they missed the opportunity to engage in a bidding war. And I guarantee you that bidding war would have brought them a lot. The Celtics, the Warriors, the Heat. Every team would have been trying to figure out a way to bring Luka. Why? Because he's a generational talent. You put Pat Riley in that mix, I guarantee you that fat boy is not so fat. Look, let's be honest. Anthony Davis, who is talented, is older, his own injury history, and he does not match Doncic's offensive impact or future potential based on the fact Doncic was 25. Max Christie, come on now. No matter how good he gets, he's not a generational talent. He's a prospect. And 2029 first round pick. That should have been minimum of 3. Now, it's fair to say that, hey, we don't know we can sign Luka after this season. I don't care. You can win the championship with him this season. Oh, man. So obviously the cultural fit, Fat Boy did not fit in what is being seen as a team that wants to be more disciplined, healthy, and more team-oriented. The public perception, Maverick fans are going to feel betrayed, and they will feel the heat with lost season ticket sales. I guarantee you that. And if they don't win the championship this season, it's going to drop even further. And heaven forbid if they're one and done in the playoffs, then it's even lower. So there is nothing short of winning the championship that will appease the fans. And even some fans may be unhappy because they want to see Dončić as a Maverick. So what's his long-term strategy for the Mavericks? Well, they're going to retool around Kyrie Irving, but he's like 37, I think. How old is Kyrie Irving? I apologize. He's 32, 37. I don't know what I was thinking. However, that said, Anthony Davis is 31. So they can rebuild around those two guys for a couple of years, but that's about it. In essence, they have a very short window of 1 to 2 years. And how will the potential loss of Dončić affect them or Irving? Again, the uncertainty around Davis's health. How's this play style going to integrate the value of the 2029 pick? Some people believe the Mavericks should have waited until the offseason or even next year to trade Dončić. I'm not sure where that aligns with this contract, though. Let me think. Where's my notes? There's still a couple of seasons left on Doncic's contract. So let's take a quick look into Nico Harrison, the decision maker behind the trade, the man who said it was his sole decision, which is a lie. You don't make a trade like this without consulting ownership, period. End of story. That's what blows me. The media is not really talking about that. Oh, he made the decision. No, he did not. Him and ownership made the decision. And I believe the NBA helped push and facilitate the decision to make it secretive and only to the Lakers. Harrison started his basketball career at the United States Military Academy. So West Point. 1 season, then he transferred to Montana State. He earned all Big Sky Conference honors 3 times. Great, not great, decent college player. 12 points, 2.4 assists, and 4.2 rebounds. It's not like the all Big Sky is the premier league in college. He had a brief basketball career playing abroad. Never played in the NBA, played overseas in Belgium, Japan, and Lebanon. That's just somebody who's living the dream, hoping to make it to the NBA. He's working hard. I believe he probably had one of the strongest work ethics you could probably find with somebody with no talent to play in the NBA. And when I say no talent, I don't mean no talent like a hack rabbit Joe. I just mean he was just colleges where his talent and playing in college is not easy. I mean, so I apologize. I didn't mean no talent. I mean he didn't have talent to play at the level of the NBA. So then he went into Nike, after he retired, becoming vice president of basketball operations. Obviously successful, but not without his own sins. He had a meeting with Stephen Curry in 2013, blew that to hell, and Curry ended up signing with Under Armour. Showed no respect to Stephon Curry. I've heard this story before, and I never put Nico Harrison with it, but I've heard the story how Nike screwed up in trying to sign Curry. So then in 2021, he was appointed as a general manager for the Dallas Mavericks, bringing his Nike experience into play. And now that is discipline. He moved from NBA to management. I don't know exactly how that happened, but some point in time that happened. How you make that transition, I don't know. So what's that leave for Dončić? Well, his GM is a hardcore hardliner and hard work ethic, and he didn't see that in Dončić. So Dončić was moved. The post-trade, what are we looking at? Well, there's hope for improvement. There's anticipation on how Luka Doncic's conditioning could evolve in LA. So LA, actually, I didn't realize this is known for rigorous training and conditioning programs. And that's helped players like LeBron James maintain peak performance. There's the influence of LeBron James. Look, whatever you think about LeBron James, the guy works hard. He'll never be Michael Jordan. He's what you call a gunslinger. He had to move from team to team to team for championships. Whereas Michael, Chicago Bulls, baby. I think he went to the Wizards for a couple years, but it was the Bulls. So LeBron's been a model of fitness, Adonis-type body and longevity. There's the team culture, the Lakers culture. They don't like fat, lazy bleeps. So this could be a new chapter for Dončić if he sees the embarrassment, because he's reading the press. Fat boy, fat boy, fat boy, fat boy, fat boy, fat boy. Shoney's fat boy, Shoney's fat boy. The Slovenian version. Don't know what Shoney's is, look it up. So Doncic's elite playmaking and scoring could complement LeBron James' game. I don't know. Again, I know the business of basketball more than the actual game. I always go to my friend Eddie. But I do watch it, when it comes playoff time. It's just, to me, it's such a long season. The games don't matter in the season, not like the NFL where every game matters. So immediate impact appearing with Doncic with LeBron instantly elevates the Lakers' championship prospects if they can gel and create synergy between those two. Their combined scoring, playmaking, and basketball IQ will make the Lakers one of the toughest teams to defend in the league. So there's a chance for offensive dominance, and they can just outscore teams. Here's the real kicker. This is now Luka's team, not LeBron's team. And let's be honest, I think the writing's on the wall for LeBron Jr. He's there because Daddy wanted him there. So we'll see what it brings. The Doncic trade represents a pivotal moment for both the Mavericks and the Lakers and the NBA. Because again, I believe the NBA had a big hand behind the scenes in facilitating this trade and only allowing it to be made with the Lakers. They probably threatened them by saying, hey, we're going to blow this trade up. Make sure Luka knows, and you're really screwed. And he'll tell the team, I don't want to go to you. You're not going to get the best of me. What's that? Is that a Burger King? I'll be signing with Burger King. My point is the NBA did everything Adam Silver did everything he could to facilitate this trade once he saw it happening. And that's my personal opinion, but that's the NBA. They did this with Shaq. They allowed the Lakers to tamper when they weren't allowed by league rules. David Stern did. They're talking about, is this a masterstroke or a misstep? No, it's a misstep. They did not get enough for him. So no matter how this trade goes down, and here's the other kicker. What if the Mavericks don't win a championship over the next 5 years and the Lakers win even one with Luka? My final take is that the Mavericks will rue the day this trade was made. And if Luka does get over his fatness issues, the Lakers could be in for a multi-year championships, which would piss LeBron off watching from his couch, as well as Nico Harrison, who by that point will be on his couch watching because he will not be the Mavericks general manager. All right, let's get down to what my original topic was going to be about before this big trade happened. The Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Philadelphia Eagles. Man, I apologize. I had to sit there and pause here real quick. Super Bowl 59. All right, the NFL calendar is finally coming up this weekend with the Super Bowl. Fans are set for a thrilling showdown between the Kansas City Chiefs, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the NFL referees. That's right, baby. Iconic Caesars Superdome in New Orleans will be hosting the NFL referees. Which NFL referee will call the shot that gives the game to the Chiefs? I'm not lying. That is one of the topics that's going around. You always get the garbage. It's a narrative packed with potential records, redemption arcs, and the quest for an unprecedented 3-peat by the Chiefs. Where the reality of it is, man, the refs are going to give the championship to the Chiefs, man. The writing's on the wall. And there's truth to that. In the previous points on the board, I gave examples of how the refs cheated for the Chiefs. Hell, that 4th and 1, it's obvious now that everybody but the Chiefs, it was a first down by the Bills. The referees are in it to help the Chiefs win. How? I don't know. But let's be honest. I've been in this game long enough. I can honestly tell you this is the truth. The NFL, NBA, MLB, all the leagues have their favorite teams. Not because they like the players. It's because of the draw they bring. Thus, the Chiefs are the unwritten. We got to give every call their way. That's how it was with Tom Brady. That's how the leagues work. I saw that firsthand with the NBA and the Lakers with Shaq against the Portland Trailblazers, a small market team that had beaten them not once but twice, but the referees had to interfere. And the Lakers dynasty was not meant to be. It was designated to be. So let's get back to this overview of the matchup. Obviously in New Orleans, gosh, 6:30 p.m., your typical times. Going to try to hit that prime time ratings hour. So what are some of the highlights? Andy Reid's making his 6th Super Bowl appearance, tying Don Shula. He's in there for a 3-peat, which will be unprecedented. Patrick Mahomes matches John Elway's 5 Super Bowl appearances. You know, one thing about Terry Bradshaw, who's an idiot, who used to be my idol growing up, but is a bona fide, stupid, fat idiot. And why do I say that? I will make this for horses, Aaron. Too stupid to know your own science. Just repeating. You're like repeating what the seal, like a seal, what they tell you to say. But that said, fat boy there, Terry Bradshaw, 4 Super Bowls, no losses. I mean, that in and of itself to me is a record that Patrick Mahomes can't match. Mahomes versus Vic Fangio. My research shows he's 8-0 against Fangio. However, his performance stats are below his career averages. And the more you face a defense, they say the easier it is to face it. Well, it also depends what players you're facing in that defense. And this is Fangio's first year, I believe, with the team. Challenges going to be facing Jalen Hurts, dual type players. Saquon Barkley, the NFL's premier running back, bar none, not even close. What about Nick Sirianni? Well, he was able to overcome his team's missteps earlier in the season. Saquon Barkley, once they cut him loose, see, it took Jalen not being 100% for them to realize what they had in Barkley. Barkley can take over this game and dominate this game and lead this game being the MVP. And I hope that's their strategic plan. And Barkley can nullify Chris Jones' defense tackle coming from the edge from the rush or up the gut from the rush. Under Vic Fangio, the Eagles defense is going to come out hot. And Fangio wants one win, the biggest win of his career against Mahomes in the Super Bowl. So the problem with the Eagles, their passing game. They've got to get the receivers into the mix quickly. They've got to get Jalen Hurts. See, the one thing about Jalen Hurts, he's not as good a passer as Mahomes. I mean, he's a better runner than he's a passer still, and that speaks volumes. He's got room to grow, but he's no Mahomes. So what are some of the key matchups? Obviously, the head coaching matchup, Reed and Sirianni. Reed's experience, especially in high-stakes games like the Super Bowl, give him an edge. Strategic depth, being able to make the right call at the right time. It's edge, Andy Reid. Mahomes versus Fangio. Edge, Mahomes. 8-0 against him. Mahomes' ability to have a quick decision-making and adapting to what he sees on the field should not be underestimated and will come into play. Edge, Mahomes. Chiefs' offensive strategy. They're going to focus on Mahomes, quick release and his mobility. And by mobility, just to avoid the tackle. Edge, Chiefs over the defense of the Eagles. The Eagles' run game. Eagles' run game is led by Saquon Barkley. If they can control the clock and keep Mahomes off the field, that will dictate the game. Big edge, Eagles, if the offensive coordinator makes the right calls. And I believe that's what's his name? That's a big game for him. Kellen Moore. I couldn't think of the game. If he wins this game, and it's because of a great offensive performance, he's going to get a head coaching job somewhere. I don't think he's a good leader of men. I think he needs to be offensive coordinator and become a leader still. But that's not what we're here about. So big edge here if Kellen Moore can utilize Saquon Barkley as he should. Now, Steve Spagnuolo has not had any head coaching interviews, to my knowledge, but he's going to be using his creepers to keep an eye on Jalen Hurts and his rushing ability. And that could hamper as much as help. It could mean big holes for Saquon. And that's why I think Kellen Moore needs to look at that angle more. So I don't give Steve Spagnuolo's defense an edge here. They come back down to earth a little bit, and they're facing Saquon Barkley. However, let's look at the Eagles' offensive line versus the Chiefs' defensive line. Maybe it's even. I don't know. It's one of the most pivotal matchups. Chris Jones is a big key here. But it's the run blocking of the Eagles' offensive line. If, again, Kellen Moore has a right game plan, edge, Eagles. Travis Kelce versus Eagles linebacker. I'm not even going to get into this. Edge, Kelce. He just has rapport with Mahomes with the route running. They are just extremely in sync. And the longer you allow Kelce the move on the field, eventually he will get open. Defensive backs versus Chiefs receivers. Maybe a little bit even, slight edge to the Eagles receivers only because of Mahomes being able to buy them the time to get free here or there. Mahomes' mobility, again, not his ability to run the ball as much as his ability to buy time in the pocket. This is the potential game changer for the Chiefs. If they can control Mahomes' ability there, game over. Now, that's the question. Can the Eagles front contain him? I don't think they can. His undefeated record against Fangio shows they likely won't. Now, Hurts dual threat, I give the edge to Spagnuolo here. Only because if they can contain him, he's not as accurate, not as good a passer, a QB as Mahomes is. So I do give the edge here to Spagnuolo slightly because he's also not at 100% this season. So, referee, big edge. I would imagine Vegas has these odds at 1,000 to 1 edge over with the favoring the Chiefs. Significant discussion in this sector. The Chiefs had fewer penalties caught against them compared to their opponents in playoff games since 2021. Big edge Mahomes. The Chiefs are set with the refs giving them the edge. No single game where they were penalized more than their opponent. Edge Chiefs. For the playoffs overall, edge Chiefs. For a single game overall, edge Chiefs. Controversial calls against the Bills, 4th and 1. Against the Texans. So statistical analysis does not sit there and say, hey, the fix is in. But it does say, hey, there's a pattern here. Prediction, big, massive edge of favoritism from the refs go to the Chiefs. The question is, will it happen this game? Because we know if it does, it will influence the outcome of this game. What's the reason for hope for either team? Hope for the Chiefs is obviously Mahomes' clutch performance. They're concerned, the offensive line vulnerabilities, big, massive hope with the refs siding with them. Eagles, formidable defense, and the best rusher in the game, bar none. Concern, a very vanilla passing attack. Obviously, the head coaches will be a big factor. Injuries throughout the game, leading up to the game. And the kickers, Butker and Elliott. Kind of been a little bit of, I don't want to say struggles, but they haven't all been there. I think Elliott's not had a bad playoff season so far. So as we approach Super Bowl 59, the Chiefs, under the guidance of Andy Reid and the help of the referees, powered by Patrick Mahomes' dynamic play, are looking for the three-peat. Will the refs show up for them? That's a big question. On the other side, the Eagles, bolstered by the dual threat of Jalen Hurts and that potential, but with the bona fide ability of Saquon Barkley, if used properly this game, is a massive threat. So this game's outcome might hinge on key matchups like the execution of offense and defensive strategies and how the refs call the game. Myself, I got to give the edge to the Chiefs because of the refs. So the question that remains entering this game, will the Super Bowl be remembered not just for the game and the journey to get there and the stories that unfold on the battlefield, and obviously if the refs will determine a winner going into the game called the Kansas City Chiefs. I believe the edge resides with the Chiefs, though I am hoping Saquon Barkley gets MVP and pulls it off. And there you have it. That is my ugly take. Because as you can see, I do believe the refs have a keen eye and are looking out for the Chiefs. All right, let's close this out with hot reads. The Rams and Browns shake up the NFL with star player trade requests. Part 1. Cooper Kupp on the trade block. Look, Cooper Kupp has a big, massive contract, and they decided to trade their star receiver while they can still get value for him. Business of the NFL. Kupp says he doesn't want to be traded. He loves playing in LA. He's got a Super Bowl. I think he's got. Does he have a Super Bowl? I don't know. Let me check. That's awful silly of me. Yes, he does. So he's got his Super Bowl, so he's happy in LA. He's making cash. Body's getting beat up. He's happy where he's at. But again, Kupp has a substantial salary cap hit that's going to require the Rams to absorb some of his salary to make the trade feasible. My take, Kupp will have suitors. Hell, Pittsburgh could use him. Put him in New England. The problem is his salary cap in his current contract. Denver, possible stop. Not Cincinnati or Kansas. It depends on his salary cap and if he's willing to rework his contract. That is my take. I do see Cooper Kupp moving to a team that has Super Bowl aspirations. Part 2. Myles Garrett makes a trade request. Look, Myles Garrett is done losing, but he still got a couple years on the team that is not done thinking they can still win. Obviously, one of the better defensive players. He's requested a trade from the Rams. His primary motivation is the pursuit of a Super Bowl. This is a major shift for the Browns because they still want to win. Why? Because current management, the GM and the head coach, have to win because of that Deshaun Watson quarterback debacle. They have no quarterback. He had to set back his Achilles. They have no rushing attack. They need help with the receivers. It's a mess. He wants out. My take, well, this is going to create some tension if they don't trade him. But if they trade him, they're telling their fans, well, we're trading a disgruntled player and we're getting nothing about it, so we don't believe in winning. Or we put, I don't know. It's a complete mess. It's a complete mess. There is a no win for the Cleveland Browns in this situation. You keep him, he's going to be miserable. He's going to be a cancer in the locker room. That is my take. My take is Myles Garrett, if not traded, will become a cancer, an ugly cancer, a cancer that just creates chaos purposely. The Browns have been nothing but a losing culture, and it's going to remain so with Garrett or not. Some of his suitors, there's any team will take him. The Bills may be looking for help. Falcons maybe. Plenty of teams will be out there for him. Don't make assumptions now. Wait till after the Super Bowl, how teams finally settle in with the philosophy of their new head coaches. So there's going to be a lot of moves still to be made in terms of how teams look at their strategy. I believe Garrett will not be traded right away. If he is, only because the team's going to try to change his mind. Ronaldo's bold claim, I am the most complete footballer ever. Cristiano Ronaldo has declared himself the most complete and best football ever. Is there any other way to show I'm insecure in how my legacy is going to be seen? Look, he's got one World Cup. Soccer is measured by World Cups. Pele is the standard bearer, legendary. Ronaldo will be forgotten. Messi will be forgotten. There's one name that transcends generations, and that is Pele. Pele will always be remembered as the greatest player in soccer. And that's not to take away by Ronaldo. When I say he'll be forgotten, there's a lot of great players who have won one or two championships. I was looking it up doing my research. Players that are now forgotten. Y'all don't even know why, because from the 30s, 40s, 50s. Pele has survived from the 70s. So, no, he'll never be seen as the most, and some may say he's the most complete football ever, but he'll never be seen. But he's trying to say he's the greatest. Hell, people still say Lionel Messi's better than him. Maybe Messi is the GOAT. So this is nothing but fodder at the soccer room tables. I don't believe he's the greatest. Pele, in my opinion, is the greatest. Netflix struggles with WWE Raw streaming, and the fans react. All right, Netflix is back to its glitches. WWE obviously is a big time draw for them. They had the problem with Jake Logan. Look, Netflix is going to have to get this together because they're going to piss fans off. But that said, does it matter? No. Netflix is a behemoth. They've got the NFL, WWE. They're going to get more, and fans are going to deal with it. Netflix has put out crap right now in terms of the streaming, and fans will stick with it. Fans can complain all they want, but they never, ever hold their wallet in check. They're going to keep spending. So Netflix can be as glitch heavy as they want. This won't change anything. Netflix will improve their product, but it's going to be at their pace. And I'm sure they're going to work quickly to try to fix it. But this continues to happen. Oh, well. Deal with it, fans, because you're going to keep paying. MLB umpire Pat Hoberg dismissed for sharing betting accounts. Pat Hoberg violated MLB Rule 21D, which prohibits betting on baseball games by any MLB personnel. He didn't really violate it. He shared his betting account. And the perception of what? Betting umpire does not look good. dude, if you're in sports or involved in sports in any way, betting should be persona non grata, period. End of story. That's just how it has to be. So I agree with MLB. Suspend his ass. MLB's got to keep a clean game. Look, Tim Donaghy with the NBA has already shown and validates my belief in the NBA's fix. He's just one of what I believe is the tip of the iceberg in many ways, whether it's illegalities in terms of influencing outcomes. And I don't mean necessarily gambling, but again, when they allow tampering allegedly by the Lakers to talk to Shaq and to get Shaq to become, against Orlando, to what I believe is probably Adam Silver knowing about this NBA trade and kind of pushing for it, to the referees helping the Chiefs. But this is flat out gambling. So, but it's all related. It's all unethical and immoral. So yes, his dismissal is good for the game. He can reapply for, or he can, reapply or apply for reinstatement in spring training in 2026. Will they allow him? Probably not. But yeah, he should have been suspended or fired, dismissed, whatever term you want to call it. And there you have it, my friends. My heart reads. Heavy episode today. I make a lot of great takes, a lot of ugly takes. Fat boy Dončić, referees favoring the Chiefs. Ronaldo is not the greatest player. I hope you enjoyed it. Do not forget to like and share this podcast. And once again, you can find this podcast as well as my Fired Up Conservative Political Talk podcast and my Red, White, and Rude pop culture, entertainment, music, movies, etc. podcast, how it mixes with politics. You can find these 3 podcasts and our others at grumblingsmedia.com, as well as Rumble, Spotify, Apple y Pandora, as well as a good old behemoth YouTube, under the profile handle Grumblings Media. Thank you for tuning in, my friends. I am William Del Pilar, and this has been Points on the Board. And until next week, I bid you adieu. Enjoy the Super Bowl.
Hey everybody, this is Big John from Grumblings Media, and I just want to say thank you for watching our content. If you want to support our efforts here at Grumblings Media, just smash the subscribe button right here, totally free, or just go ahead and consume more of our great content. Click either one of these 2 boxes.